The math of the main event is very simple now. 9 will play in November at the final table. 18 players are left, and all want the win just as badly.
Of course, I want to win this, and I know that is gonna bring me some more fame. But you know, the 8.3 million, I can take that.
It's surreal. It's tough to put words on it. Right now, it's just chips. I want to get more chips. I'm only focusing on that.
For me, money is more important than recognition.
It's unbelievable what you go through in a tournament.
The wait is over. Tonight, we will have a November 9.
Texas Dolly Brunson, who wrote the book.
He's moving in for the kill.
And there it is. Helmuth wins the championship.
Moneymaker puts his name amongst the greatest players in the game.
Wake me now.
Merson is the main event champion.
Biggest day of my life.
Main event, day 7.
If you believe the World Series of Poker is a marathon, tonight most definitely is the sprint to the final table. Hi, everyone. Lon McCarron with Norman Chad and Kara Scott. Rails are growing by the minute. Current chip leader, 26-year-old Frenchman Sylvain Lousli.
As they say in France, spring in Paris is nice, but chips in Vegas are nicer.
Yeah, loosely.
Brazilian Bruno Kawauch has a rail that would make any player envious.
As I say in Brazil, Carnival in Rio is great. The main event at the Rio is greater.
Rep Porter representing the state of Washington well.
As they say in Washington, a Granny Smith apple a day keeps the bad beats away.
At the secondary feature table, J.C. Tran and his seriously impressive poker resume.
They say it everywhere. This guy can play. 2 bracelets, 6 main event cashes in 10 years.
Tran in 4th, as you see, the 0-1 main event champ Carlos Mortensen in 7th.
Another loud rail here is for the local favorite, Jay Farber, the Las Vegas VIP host in 3rd place.
The bottom half of the 18 players remaining, topped by David Benefield.
The 27-year-old Benefield, arguably as talented as any player left in the field, but frankly, the Ivy Leaguer might be just a little too smart for my tastes.
Just because Phil says you're maybe the best tournament player of our generation, I'm going to let this one go.
Which generation is that?
We apparently are not of your generation. Me and Carlos. We're the old guys.
Porter and Mortensen both in their early 40s. Grimmelhouse 32. The others at this table in their 20s. Interesting dynamic here. 7 players under the average stack. What does that mean for Rep Porter?
Means his stack is a little more powerful. At the other table, he'd be short.
Sylvain Lousli, the big stack, no matter who you compare him to, and a good seat.
Mortensen and Benefield to his right will help. I expect Loosely to pound away at this table.
There is a new chip in play, the almond-colored chip worth $250,000. Blinds at $120,240 with a $40,000 chip ante. Carlos folds it to David Benefield on the button, ace-queen off. 27-year-old Texan native living in New York City with a raise to $500,000. Loosely with pocket kings.
Loosely with very little tournament experience, but he says he thinks he has a big edge when he's playing a deep stack. And he's deep stacked now as chip leader.
Pretty successful online player.
Place.
And that's a re-raise from the chip leader to $1.5 million. Folded now back to Benefield.
I think the poker code, which you mentioned recently, Lon, required Benefield to raise when everyone folded to him on the button. Does the poker code say anything about ace-queen?
Your poker code does, and Benefield going against the grain there makes the call. So Loosely and Benefield. The flop, king-queen 4, a set of kings for Loosely. Middle pair, top kicker for Benefield. A check from Loosely.
When we started day 7 with 27 players, Benefield was 27th in chips. He's now 10th with 18 left.
Benefield proceeds with caution wisely. 7 of spades, the kings can't be beat. And Loosely reaching for chips now.
Loosely started playing poker when he was in business school. I don't think the hoodie was allowed in business school.
And that's $1,450,000 from Loosely with his set.
Benefield was a member of his high school choir. At that time, I assume he was not allowed to cup his hand in front of his mouth.
Boy, a helpless feeling for us and the viewers at home who see Benefield putting more chips into the middle.
Benefield drawing dead, dead, dead.
River card now, loosely feeling very much alive. 8 of hearts, another low card on the board. Let's see how much loosely thinks he can get out of Benefield on the river.
$2.5.
He announces $2.5 million.
The joys of ace queen. Benefield getting better than 3.5 to 1 on a call here.
And David Benefield puts in the chips, crashes headlong into the French chip monster.
Benefield with hand on head. That indicates a headache.
Loosely ups his chip count to almost 26.5 million. He can barely contain his joie de vivre. 110 big blinds, and Benefield, just when he was in reach of the top 9, plummets to 17th place.
Just 15 big blinds, now the second shortest stack in the room.
That's unfortunate.
So Benefield begins the climb again. The payout bumps coming more rapidly now. The next 3 out earn almost $358,000. At the secondary table, the shortest stack in the room, Jan Nakalado, 4-bet shoved with queens, but Matt Reed with aces is in line to take Nakalado's 10 big blinds.
Nakalado trying to get to the final table, as fellow Czech Republic pro Martin Stashko did in 2011.
The flop 4-8 deuce. Nakalado gets no glimmer of hope in that flop. Turn card now. 5 of hearts. The song remains the same for Jan Nakalado.
6-7 of hearts.
Yeah.
Nakalado's got to have a queen.
River card is a 9. Reed's aces stand up to the all-in. And Jan Nakalado done with his 2013 main event.
Boy, Nakalado's so quick on his feet. If he wants, he can go around the table a second time.
18th place for Nakalado in his first ever World Series of Poker cash.
Nice hand.
Pocket aces, heads up, usually brings a smile to your face.
It's even nicer when they have a hand.
It's nicer to get aces in action.
6,352 players paid $10,000 each to play in this 2013 main event. Just 17 remain from that massive field. For those viewers just picking up on the event now, or for those of you looking for more patented Norman Chad wisdom, Norman, what are the best storylines to follow?
Norman Chad wisdom. That's got a nice ring to it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, 2 storylines in my mind stand out. Carlos Mortensen, the 2001 world champion, so close to joining Johnny Moss, Doyle Brunson, Stu Unger, and Johnny Chan as the only players with multiple main event titles. And then there's J.C. Tran, a beautiful family, a great player, 6 main event cashes in the last 10 years. The J.C. might as well stand for just consistent. I'll give you some Norman Chad wisdom. J.C. Tran's one wise guy.
JC's poker wisdom has earned him millions during his career. Tran currently in 4th place with 17 main event players remaining. Action here at this feature table on Rep Porter. He won his World Series bracelets in 08 and 2011. Sitting with almost 7.7 million, King of Hearts for Rep and the King of Diamonds.
Porter rotated between options trading and poker after college, but once the money got bigger in poker, he stuck with it.
There's a raise to $500,000 on the Brazilian pro, Bruno Kawauch. He's got an ace with an 8 and folds to Michiel Brimmelhaus, the Dutch pro with pocket aces.
Kings versus aces. Bye-bye, Rep.
As he ponders his idea for getting maximum value from the aces, let's hear how Phil Hellmuth would play this situation.
Michiel, sweet spot for you. Pocket aces, yum, yum. So if I'm in your spot, 30% of the time I'm going to smooth call and let some people in. That's dangerous, though, because it's only 500K. Maybe somebody flops a set. It's very hard to fold aces. Maybe they flop 2 pair. You're letting in some hands that could really crush you. I would always look at Rep Porter or my opponent, whoever it is. If I think they're strong, I re-raise because you never know. They might just get it all in before the flop.
So Michiel with the call, opening the door for anyone who dares.
Well, poker bratese is not Brimmelhaus's first language.
And no takers. Big blind, Alex Livingston folds, so heads up.
Porter might have gotten a break here. If Brimmelhaus 3-bets, who knows? All the chips could be in the middle already, and Porter headed for the exits.
And an ace in the flop. Brimmelhaus flops a set. Porter looking at that less than percentage mark.
Porter once worked at Safeway. If he worked at the register, that's good training for dealing with poker chips.
He bet 600,000.
Brimmelhouse sharing a suite during the main event with his Amsterdam buddy, Jorn Volthouse.
And just a smooth call.
Very tricky.
Turn card now. 9 of diamonds, and Rep Porter now drawing dead. Porter does check.
Time for Brimmelhouse to start boogieing.
This is his 4th main event, but first cash. He does have 2 final tables at the World Series of Poker. Brimmelhouse puts out 725,000.
725 into a pot of 2.9 million? That bet smells like day-old lutefisk.
Come and get it. Come and get it. And Porter cannot resist, it looks like. Got calling chips in his hand and does call.
Well, the smooth call by Brimmelhouse on the flop has confused Porter.
River card now. 4 of hearts.
With that board, the percentage next to Brimmelhouse's name really should be 105%.
Porter checks again.
2.6.
2.6 million.
And Brimmelhouse turning up the heat.
Yeah, to call this would be for nearly half of Porter's remaining chips.
Rep does manage to kick in the kings. Brimmelhouse will take that pot and move over 12 million now. Porter does take the hit, but if no ace hits the board, it could have been much bloodier for Rep Porter. He's in 12th place right now. So a fortunate pre-flop distribution lands Brimmelhouse a big pot. More day 7 after this. The 2013 World Series of Poker is brought to you by World Series of Poker Full House Pro on Xbox 360. Download poker's most authentic experience free on Xbox Live Arcade today. Day 7 of the main event has dashed hopes of some and given hope to others.
Give you $100 to see it.
Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, you can. You can shut too.
Thank you. Come on. So many outs. So many outs. He has 9s.
I call.
Here we go.
Yes, sir. That's
One player who has enjoyed success on day 7, Mark-Etienne McLaughlin, who plays a game back in Canada that may remind you of your youth.
It's really important to be well balanced, because if you're always thinking of one thing and it's getting really important in your life, when that thing goes wrong, it takes all the place in your life. That's why I like dodgeball so much. You just forget about all the bad things and just thinking about killing the person in front of you. Come with me. We are about to play some funky dodgeball.
They're all crazy. They're all very, very funny. We always have a good time.
Yeah, well, the group we have here is, mostly poker players. We try to hang out together as much as we can, so yeah, we train hard.
Yeah, we look a little ridiculous, but we're out there to have fun. Let's go! Mark's probably the best player in there, so he's going to be my #1 target. I always try to take out the best player first.
Well, dodgeball is a little bit like poker, you got to be able to play hard, take a lot of chances, be aggressive, but you want to play smart at the same time, So we play as a team, as a group, and just try to make the best moves whenever we can. Holy that was rough. It was a blast. I'm sure we're gonna do it again, and we will do it each week and have a tradition here and playing dodgeball and other sports.
By the way, that dodgeball event will be shown on the Ocho next week. Now back to the main event here on ESPN.
Mark-Etienne with ace-king off, facing an under-the-gun raise from Jay Farber, holding queens. McLaughlin starting the hand with almost 17 million. Does not repop it, he calls.
Incidentally, I turned down a dodgeball scholarship from the University of Phoenix to go to the University of Maryland.
J.C. Tran now with the button and ace-queen. And he'll come along.
3 premium hands here. The main event becomes about managing your premium hands. Obviously, you want to win with them, but you can't overplay them.
Castelluccio in the big blind might be a little bored, but he is getting almost 9-1 with his 9-7 off. 4 players see a flop of 6 king jack. McLaughlin catches the king to grab a big advantage. Castelluccio checked. Farber now with his 9% pocket queens.
Farber, like Sylvain loosely, with very little tournament experience.
He checks to McLaughlin now. Top pair, top kicker. 600,000.
Tran, of course, with tons of tournament experience. And he just has a great feel for it all. Instinctively, JC just puts together the pieces to the puzzle.
JC with a Broadway draw now. Will make that call. Castelluccio got no luck on the flop, and he's gone. Now back to Farber. Farber with the best tattoos here, but not the best hand. Farber makes the call. So McLaughlin with the best hand will have to dodge a queen or a 10 there coming up. Sorry about that. Turn card. 7 of hearts does nobody no good. Farber has the action. He checks.
7 of hearts, very safe card for top pair, top kicker. Occasionally, poker is easier than dodgeball.
McLaughlin now. 2.25 million.
McLaughlin betting more than half the pot, making it tough for Tran to stick around.
Tran just with that draw, and now it's in the muck.
Farber doesn't look like he's in calling posture.
And he does fold. Caution, the headline word with that hand. McLaughlin will drag the pot. Now approaching 20 million chips. He's in second place right now.
He doesn't have a dodgeball player's build. He really should stick to poker.
If you have a friend of the game, still, it's almost like being in the game yourself. Passions run high on the rails, so much at stake. We go to the feature table now, folded to Bruno Kawauch in the cutoff with ace-queen.
I mentioned Carnival earlier, Lon. The distance from Rio to the Rio is 6,209 miles.
Just under 10,000 kilometers.
Oh, thank you, Archimedes.
Bruno raised it up. Benefield with trays. And he says all in. That's almost 3.4 million.
Shift comp.
14 big blinds left for Benefield.
It's a little over 3.
Kawauch wants a count.
I call.
He does make the call, so David Benefield has put himself out there at risk of being our 17th place finisher.
Kawauch calls for half his stack.
Benefield, though, is the one with the made hand, and the rails get active.
The Brazilian crowd trying to rattle the dealer, I believe.
Here's a flop. Jack, tray 10, a set for Benefield. What a card to see. A Broadway draw, though, for Kawauch.
Look at Benefield. No emotion from the eyeline master on a flop that might extend his main event. Benefield looks like he's just been told that he needs to get a termite inspection report before he closes escrow on his next house.
8 of clubs, double the outs now with a double gutter for Bruno.
Yeah, and indeed, Benefield knows not to celebrate too soon. Now a king or a 9 would bust David Benefield.
The river card is a 6, and David Benefield escapes the axe again.
He can smile now. Well, if he wants to.
Kawauch now the short stack in the field after losing almost half his stack to the very dangerous player.
He really can smile now.
David Benefield. Wow, what a comeback. We've documented the story before, and now making a major day 7 comeback from 27 of 27 to the middle of the pack. It's still anyone's game. The sun beginning to set on the main event. We're late on day 7 with just 17 players remaining. There's 13-time bracelet winner Phil Hellmuth. He was eliminated on day 3.
What's up, Philly?
The camera always seems to find Phil, or Phil always seems to find the camera.
Under the gun, Ryan Reese raised it up to $500,000 with aces, folded to Alex Livingston in the big blind with ace-queen suited.
Livingston recently went to Africa and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I'm surprised you can't do that online yet.
All in. I call.
Livingston raised Reese all in. Reese with the easy call.
I don't know if Phil Hellmuth would approve of Livingston's pushing from the big blind with ace-queen, and now Ryan Reese in great shape to double up.
Reese with a magic elixir of aces on the verge of making a big leap up the leaderboard. Here's the flop. 7-10 deuce. Great flop for Reese. No hearts for Livingston.
Livingston needs a runner, or he'll be short stacked.
Queen, too. Queen's okay. Hey.
A big moment for both of these players. Turn card, another 7. That makes it official. Alex drawing dead. He'll relinquish over half his chips. Ryan Reese with a nice pot. Aces just in time.
Nice hand.
He's up to almost $8 million, and he sits in 10th place right now. Meanwhile, Alex Livingston takes up residence in the cellar with only 13 big blinds.
Gentlemen, I salute you all. My hat's off to all of you. Nice round.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Phil. Nice round.
Of course.
Bill Hellmuth paying his respects.
Well, when a fan runs out onto the field during a game, networks don't show it because they don't want to encourage it. Why do we show this?
Carlos. The man, Carlos.
A couple of former world champs.
Team 5 or something.
I guess it's possible Phil was taking food orders.
Top stacks with a real balancing issue right now. How aggressive should they be? Loosely, Lehavat, Farber wrestling with that right now. Rep Porter with ace-10.
Hellmuth must have told Rep to fold ace-10 suited under the gun.
Wow, big fold. Kawauch folds a weak king. Now Brummelhouse with ace-queen of spades. Worthy of a raise to $500,000, so says he. Queens for Mortensen.
Carlos was playing chess in a Madrid club back in the mid-1990s. They introduced Texas Hold'em there, and it was bye-bye chess.
Just a call with the queens from Carlos. Small blind Livingston folds to the big blind Ryan Reese. Paging Ryan Reese.
Tanya.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Reese working on a Carlos Mortensen chip sculpture and forgot he had cards.
Just you and me?
It's just you and me, man. Good luck.
He does fold. Heads up now.
You check behind?
9 trays, 6. Brummelhouse misses. And he checks it to Carlos with the pocket queens. 600,000.
600.
End of hand? Hardly.
Nope. Can't ignore that. 600,000 for Brummelhouse.
Out of position with ace high, Brummelhouse plows on.
Turn card now. 7 of hearts, another miss for Brummelhouse. He checks his no pair.
It is my contention that when you wear sunglasses indoors, you do not even know what day of the week it is.
It happens to most players on day 7 of the main event. Carlos Mortensen with $1,100,000. Brummelhouse just with ace-queen. And he will give it up. Mortensen stacking chips again.
I never understand why they like to check their cards at the end of a hand when they're not called. It's like looking in the mirror one more time after you're done shaving. I don't get it.
Carlos Mortensen into 6th place. Brummelhouse keeps his spot on the virtual final table, but does slip to 9th. This high dollar version of musical chairs continues. Back to the other table now. J.C. Tran is in the big blind. He holds a 9-8. Fabian Ortiz under the gun, taking his turn with ace-queen, open for $500,000.
Ortiz, the former DJ and currently nightclub owner.
JC calls for 260,000 more. And these two will see a flop of 9-7 king. Tran with middle pair. Ortiz left way behind with ace high.
This hour has been like an infomercial on why not to play ace queen.
JC check to the razor. The razor continues with a $500,000. And now Tran with a piece of that board. And JC with the call.
Tran is a lot like Mortensen in terms of trusting his post-flop reads on his opponent.
4 of hearts on the turn. Tran still best.
Fun fact for you, Winston Churchill once said his 2 biggest challenges as prime minister were dealing with Joseph Stalin at the Potsdam Conference and playing ace-queen correctly post-flop.
Check, check now. Free river card. 6 of spades. You see Tran with the 100% next to his name, representing the pair of 9s that he has, and he checks again. And all in from Ortiz with ace high.
Wow. Fabian Ortiz will try to slip a river bluff past J.C. Tran for his last 11 big blinds.
That is a board that could present problems for JC.
Well, JC's got a comfortable stack. This would be for about 20% of his remaining chips. And now Tran's reading abilities really tested big time here.
Ortiz bluff shoving for his tournament life.
Ortiz swinging back and forth in his seat like he's on a disco floor.
The flush draw got there on the river. Tran retracing the clues of the hand. And JC makes that call. How does he do that? And Fabian Ortiz is gone.
That's why he's JC Tran. And Fabian Ortiz ends a fabulous main event run with a failed bluff shove.
Out in 17th for nearly $358,000. It's one thing to make that call early in the main event, but so close to the final table makes it all the more impressive for JC Tran.
He's an animal.
16 players left, but with 9 at one table, 7 at the other. The player in the big blind, Mark Newhouse, switched tables.
The only time I ever had to switch tables to balance them out was at Thanksgiving dinner 1986.
So 8 players at each table. While Mark settles in at the secondary table, we go back to Carlos Mortensen at our featured table. There's 11.3 million chips. Certainly nothing guaranteed, but with his skills and insight at this stage of the game, how do you bet against him? A raise to 600,000 with 10-7 of hearts. Folded to Sylvain Loosely on the button, ace-6 of spades.
Loosely benefited when the French online poker market started to boom. Just about the same time the U.S. online market died.
The chip leader makes the call.
Still Loosely moved to London. There's a good-sized French poker community there.
The blinds fold.
How much have we get?
11-5.
All right, here's the flop. 6 ace-jack, top and bottom pair for Loosely. Mortensen missed and is in a deep hole. It's Carlos reaching anyway, 600,000.
I'm not quite sure what Carlos is drawing to. Maybe he has a good river insurance policy.
Loosely, again, feeling very comfortable after the flop. Another smooth call from him.
Indeed, Loosely content to let the Matador lead and control the action.
Turn card. Deuce of spades leaves Carlos drawing dead.
Well, the good news for Carlos, though, Lon, is that he is drawing to a pair.
And Carlos, trying to be convincing, bets $1.25 million. Another call from Loosely.
You know, actually, if Loosely just had a weak ace rather than 2 pair, Mortensen's line of attack here might have worked.
River card is another deuce.
Will Carlos shut down or go with the triple barrel bluff?
Oh, boy.
Looks like Carlos is intent on bluffing off a big chunk of his stack here.
Carlos Mortensen with $2.3 million now. And a call, and Loosely will take a nice pot.
Give me the cup.
Nice.
Thank you.
And by the way, the chip leader showing he played the weak ace there. That's good for his image if he wants others to look at him as a bit loose.
Mortensen's donation of 40% of his chips drops him into 9th, and he just may have used up all of his bluffing chips. Loosely ups his total to nearly $34 million. He's a professional based in London, as you mentioned, but incredibly, this is his first World Series of Poker cash. Not a bad way to break the seal.
Another deep French run here at the main event. Antoine Saout finished 3rd in 2009, and of course, Gail Bowman just missed the final table last year in 10th place.
I played it so tricky, you know, just flat, and flat again. I was feeling I was going to free barrel on this board, so.
Sick read. Did he just straight muck? Did you see his hand?
Yeah, he straight mucked.
He just instant muck. Sick.
The fans crowded so closely around the playing arena here. Much like the old back room, bare-knuckled bouts, you'd imagine John L. Sullivan headlining.
Is he there?
He is not here this year. Mark-Etienne McLaughlin as ace-9 offsuit.
I assume Jonathan Duhamel will be on McLaughlin's rail if he makes November 9.
Absolutely. Matt Reed folds his button. Now in the small blind is Chris Lind, former Wall Streeter, 10-9 of spades.
What a force Chris Lind has been at this main event, but his aggression tempered lately by the short stack.
And With that short stack at the table, all in for almost $3.4 million.
14 big blinds for Lynn. McLaughlin with the so-so ace.
3.3.
It would be for 15% of his stack.
I called.
So call?
Called.
McLaughlin does make the call and has the desperate Chris Lind dominated as well.
Yeah, I probably don't push if I'm Chris Lind, but in his defense, it's just bad luck for him. His 2 cards aren't live there, and many times in this spot, he would just win it outright without a flop.
Well, the game plan for Lind right now is to get really, really lucky against Marc-Etienne McLaughlin. All right, here's the flop. 4 Queen King. McLaughlin still ahead, but Lind picks up a king-high straight draw.
McLaughlin trying to subdue the feisty Chris Lind.
Lind at risk. Turn card, deuce of diamonds.
That's good, that's good.
And that gives McLaughlin a flush draw while taking a couple of outs from Lind.
Lind sits back down. He's thinking positive thoughts.
The river card is not what Chris Lind needs. McLaughlin has the flush, and Chris Lind has lost all his chips.
Great run for Chris Lind. I hope he can get a new car now. His old one's still sitting out there in the Rio parking lot.
The once high-flying Chris Lind has his wings clipped. A strong 6-figure payday will ease the pain soon. A nice bump to McLaughlin's stack as he moves up a notch into 4th place on the main event leaderboard.
McLaughlin is an unassuming chip accumulator, no?
Yeah, I just want to know how much it was, yeah.
It was not quite the financial collapse of 2008, but former investment banker Chris Lind goes from chip leader to out in 16th place. We're down to 15 players after the eliminations of Jan Nakladel, Fabian Ortiz, and Chris Lind. Each lead the main event with $357,655. At the secondary table, J.C. Tran with pocket 7s called the under-the-gun raise from Sergio Castelluccio with ace-king. So they'll see a flop. Tran in the big blind. The flop 10-9-4 improves neither, leaving Tran's pocket pair in the lead.
Tran, like Carlos Mortensen or say Phil Hellmuth, content to see flops and outplay opponents post-flop.
Tran checked.
I checked.
The Italian pro checks. Turn card. Tray of hearts. Well, who will step up after that blank?
Among Tran's early poker role models were Scotty Nguyen and David Pham, both like JC, born in Vietnam.
JC Tran has chips in hand. 660,000 with his pocket 7s.
I'm not sure who Castelluccio's poker role models are, but he says he's a big fan of film director Federico Fellini. And why not? The man has as many Oscars as Scotty Nguyen has bracelets, 5.
Good knowledge. Castelluccio, who has grown his stack every day at the main event with a raise to $1,440,000.
Oh, Castelluccio testing Tran's resolve here. The thing about JC is he just goes about his business. You look at him and you can't tell if he's about to 3-bet or about to pick out tangerines at the market.
Well, Sergio may think he has the best hand at this stage. And JC, I think, has the same thought. And there's a call.
At the moment, this is not La Dolce Vita for Sergio Castelluccio.
River card, Queen of Spades. Tran's 7s are best. 3 overcards out there, and he checks.
I checked.
Sergio gives JC a break and checks back.
Did you hit a queen?
Tran sniffed out that raise on the turn and then doesn't even have to make a decision on the river.
JC Tran dragging another pot after another fine read. Castelluccio heading in the other direction. Some players learning a hard lesson about JC Tran tonight.
When I saw the queen river, I was like, why didn't I jam the turn? But then he checked, so.
Sacramento, California's J.C. Tran living up to his poker resume here. At the noisy feature table venue, Sylvain Loosely ruling the roost with nearly 29 million chips. Second best at this table is David Benefield, but he is 16 million behind the French pro.
Bruno Kauauch says Brazilian poker fans have transferred their soccer crowd mentality to the poker arena. They're fun.
Reporter with pocket 7s. A raise to 600,000. There is Bruno. With the national colors on his jacket. Pocket 10s. Short stack in the tournament.
How much you have?
4.1.
Porter has Kawauch covered, not by much.
I'm all in.
Kawauch re-raises all in for almost $2.9 million. Any takers? An ace for Benefield. He folds to lose Lee. A weaker ace. Alex Livingston gives up his big blind. It comes back to Porter. He makes the call for almost 2/3 of his chips.
Porter with a quick call, and Kawauch has him crushed unless he gets lucky. This is going to leave Porter with 4 big blinds.
Kawauch's rail on their feet and very excited at the possibility of this double up. Rep Porter trying to come from behind. Here is the flop. And a 7 in the window. Porter runs down the bigger hand.
Every time I start to count him out, Rep Porter hits a card. Porter's been living large in the big moments here at the main event, and now Bruno Kawauch is all but out of here.
Bruno's going to need a lot of help to pull this one out of the fire. Dez chanting for a 10 in Portuguese. Queen of Hearts, no help to Kawauch.
Yeah, it sounds like Kawauch has home field advantage, but the deck does not care much. Bruno Kawauch has to have a 10.
The river card. Another queen means Rep Porter's full house will knock out Bruno Kawauch after a second straight impressive main event appearance.
Good game.
Well, that wasn't quite the 1950 Uruguay-Brazil World Cup match, considered one of the biggest upsets in soccer history, but it was close.
Bruno could be a strong fantasy pick for the main event next year. 15th place.
I was so sure you were going to win. I'm so sure we're going to make the final table together.
Rep, how do you do it?
Well, you know, somebody's got to get lucky.
I've watched him win King-Queen versus Kings, which was awesome.
Winning that pot, probably not much of a surprise to Rep Porter, who has had more than his fair share of lucky hands at this main event.
Tournaments with 6,500 people. If you don't get lucky once or twice, you're not going to win.
He went all in with 17 big blinds left.
Just a turn card ahead is a queen. Rep Porter manages to hang on and double up and then some. Two-time bracelet winner Rep Porter all in with King, Queen of Hearts. River card is a heart. Prete goes busto. Rep Porter gets the heart he needed to stay in the game.
Wow. Porter, former options trader turned poker pro, was down to 16 big blinds, pushed with the big pocket pair, but Brimmelhouse has a bigger pair.
And now the flop, and Porter scores the set. Rep Porter doubles to over $3.5 million. Porter grasping for hope. The river card is a 9. Porter spikes the 2-outer to survive.
Let's go, baby.
Wow.
Let's go.
Porter with a quick call, and Kawauch has him crushed unless he gets lucky. This is going to leave Porter with 4 big blinds.
And a 7 in the window. Porter runs down the bigger hand.
Just a huge adrenaline rush. I mean, like your whole body's like shaking from the... It's crazy. Did you like the shove with the King Queen, by the way?
It might have been a little thin, but I like it. I don't know.
Just curious.
It can't be that bad. I don't know.
Oh.
I probably would have folded, but like I wouldn't have been like ecstatic about it.
Then there was the 10s against Queens. Right. And today there was the 9 on the river.
Yeah, the 9 on the river was huge. Yeah.
Porter definitely lucky to be here, while the celebration of Bruno Kawauch's impressive finish is just getting started. Tonight's Bracelet Moments are presented by PokerNews.com. The Poker Players Championship is the event that every serious pro wants to win. 8 different games and a $50K buy-in means business. And this year, it was British pro Matthew Ashton who was up to the task, becoming the youngest ever PPC winner at age 25 and winning $1.7 million, along with having his name added to the Chip Reese Trophy.
It is the tournament I wanted to win the most. Just going to keep playing poker and enjoying it and try and win another one.
This is the 8th year of the event that became the Poker Players Championship. Michael Mizrachi has won it twice in 2010 and again in 2012.
And Scotty Nguyen, the only player to win the main event and the Poker Players Championship.
Back to play as Sylvain Loose-Lee called a raise with 9-7, and we'll see a flop with Mikhail Brimmelhaus, who raised with King 10. Flop is King 4-7, middle pair for Loose-Lee, but top pair for Brimmelhaus.
Middle pair for Loose-Lee, Lon. Top pair for Brimmelhaus.
We know what that means.
Loose-Lee goes with the four-fingered open palm check. Brimmelhaus now uses four fingers plus the thumb to make a bet.
A bet of 600,000.
And Loose-Lee, it appears, with a five-fingered call.
Impressive. These foreigners have a whole new level of the game of poker. Turn card. Queen of Hearts.
The four-fingered open palm check first practiced by Toulouse-Lautrec at a Paris home game in 1889.
And employed once again by Sylvain Loose-Lee and Brimmelhaus. River card now is another 7, and bang, with trip 7s, Loose-Lee's in the driver's seat.
Toulouse-Lautrec, though a fabulous painter, was never this lucky. That's what we call a Rep Porter river card for Sylvain Loose-Lee.
Sylvain Loose-Lee now, the chip leader, with 1,200,000.
I don't like the river, but I got a call. I call.
And you gotta pay.
Yeah. Brimmelhaus knew it. And Loose-Lee goes with the double four-fingered bridge, waiting for his chips.
The French pro having one of those very special day 7s at the main event. Mikhail down to 12th place.
Damn river.
Yeah, that river means Brimmelhaus is left with 16 big blinds.
As Sylvain Loose-Lee gets stronger. At the other table, Sergio Castelluccio is in big trouble. He's all in with ace-5, and he was met with an easy call from Amir Lehovut's pocket kings.
Less than 15 big blinds, pushes with the ace, and tough luck, Amir Lehovut with a big hand.
All right, here's the flop. 8 deuce queen, miss, miss, miss for Castelluccio.
Lehovut, like Mark-Etienne McLaughlin, is an unassuming chip accumulator.
Turn card. Another queen. Castelluccio running out of cards.
Castelluccio needs a 3-outer. Only an ace saves him.
River card is a deuce. Sergio Castelluccio has fallen out of the main event field, gone in 14th place.
Lon, your Italian namesake, went about as far as he could. He's got more poker chops than you, though.
He does indeed. 451,000 his reward, and he leaves with a smile.
Te l'ho detto.
For Lehovut, that pot pushes him to the top of the list with over 30 million chips. He doesn't do it with fancy play or long tanks, but Amir Lehovut is the one to beat now at the main event. Chip leader with just 13 left. The 2013 World Series of Poker is brought to you by the WSOP online store Dealt by Lids. For poker equipment, gear, and gifts, visit WSOP.lids.com today. In case you thought Phil Hellmuth only visited the featured table, he did check in with a secondary table.
They need to tighten security around here.
We shall revisit the featured table. Sylvain Loose-Lee has the action. The man with just shy of 30 million chips looks down at 2 black aces.
Well, he's a big stack. He's going to be opening a lot of pots. In this case, he's got aces.
And with the blinds at 150,000, 300,000, that's a min raise to Alex Livingston with ace-queen.
And Alex with just 10 big blinds left.
I'm all in.
And he says all in. Little choice, but little chance.
And Livingston's got to figure he's ahead of most of Loose-Lee's opening hands.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, there's a quick call.
It's queen and aces again, twice. What are you gonna do?
Second time he shoved with ace-queen and run into aces.
At least I don't get that sick feeling in the pit of my stomach when I get sucked out on all in for a 20 million chip pot. All right, guys, call for cards. Give me some hearts.
I think he's talking to the half of the rail that doesn't speak English.
Only crickets is what he hears. All right, here's the flop. Livingston at risk, and all done. A quick and merciful end to Alex Livingston's hand and main event.
Yeah, man. Yeah, buddy, good luck.
Yeah, guy you got to root for, Lonnie. He plays well, he acts well, got to wish him well.
13th place And there'll be quite a pizza party at Alex's North of Brooklyn Pizzeria in Toronto as Loosely takes the last of Alex Livingston's chips. And that puts Sylvain back in the chip lead, every hand creating reverberations among the final 12. Amir Lehavut's run at the top didn't last long. 5 players over 20 million, including J.C. Tran. 3 players on the outside looking in at the final table. Let's go down to Kara Scott now.
Can you describe for the folks at home the sensation of going from 6,352 players all the way to here?
Well, it was a fun ride. I was down to 12K on the end of day 1 and ran up to 250. And then I had chips pretty much the whole tournament until came in today about a little below average. But it was a great ride. It was a lot of fun, obviously. It's kind of what every poker player dreams of, so yeah.
What does this kind of finish do for your poker career and your visibility?
Yeah, I guess it makes me more of a name, but I don't really care too much about any of that stuff. I'm just happy to have a big score and hopefully keep it going.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Kara.
Poker is a skill game, but luck can find its way into key moments.
Queen aces again, twice. What are we gonna do?
Sticking around at the main event is the only priority, and some players come back after being sent home.
Carlos.
12 players left, all chasing Frenchman Sylvain Loosely.
I'm glad I played it so tricky, you know, just flat, flat, and flat again.
For Norman, Chad, and Kara Scott, I'm Lon McCarran. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. The November knot is close.